So in this video I'm aiming, if I can get it all in, to finish off the braces. So the brace is in place, I've measured and marked it, so I shall undo it, cut all the joints onto that, fit that, do the one down there, and then we'll fit it in position and put the cladding on it. So yeah, I'll crack on and I'll show you the tenon joint on the braces. Right, so with this brace is now cut, so there's one tenon all cut, and there's the other one. So I'm going to mark off the next brace, go from that joint to that mortise down there, and then we'll take it apart, and then we'll do the final fitting of the tenon into the mortise, and then we'll reassemble and put the gate together, ready for final fitting and final jointing. So I've got wedges to go into here, and we're going to put dowel pins through there. So yeah, so I'm going to measure up this next one and then just show you cutting the tenons, same as the other ones, just on an angle, that's all. So yeah, I'll get set up and we'll get that one sorted out. So I've marked all the joints out, and I just cut off the ends first. So then we mark on for our tenons. And we just need to cut this side off and this side off. I'll do these and we'll look at the final fitting of them. Alright, there's the braces all fitted in. Joints aren't particularly brilliant, but you know, I've not done this before. There we are. I've tested it for squareness and it looks fairly good. So the next thing to do is we'll drill and peg, and at the end here I need to expand the mortise hole at an angle to put a wedge in here to wedge this mortise and tenon. So yeah, the build continues. Right, I'm into the final assembly phase for gate number 2. There's gate 1, gate 2. So I'm going to take it apart. I'm then going to drill the hole for the peg. So there's the peg that goes through. So drill the hole for the peg. We've got to take these out first. Then I've got to cut the tenon, which I'll take it apart and show you more detail, so we can get the wedges in. So I'm going to take this apart and get ready for cutting the tenons, ready for the wedges, and trimming the mortises and drilling the holes for the pegs. So strip the gate down and I'm going to drill the holes for the dowel pins to go through the diagonals. So a bit of wood just in there to stop it splitting as I drill through. I should drill through with very little burst out on the inside and on the back. So I'll do this for all 4 of the joints for the brace bits. Right, with the holes drilled in the mortises, we now need to drill into the tenons. So simply all we do is get the drill and mark the centre . And then we need to disassemble, and then we won't actually drill on that spot. We'll actually come up a little bit millimetre, that kind of thing, less than a millimetre, and then we'll drill. So that means when the peg goes through, it actually pulls this joint together nice and strong. So I'll mark all 4, then disassemble, drill, and then we're ready for the pegs to go in there. And then we need to focus on the tenons. Right, this is the tenon, and it's going to be a wedge tenon, which means that what I need to do is I need to cut a line down in here, on both sides, and to a set depth. I'll then drill here and here, and I'll cut down here. The aim of this is, and I'll also need to cut the mortises with a slight angle on this face here, so in the mortise it's slightly angled like so. The aim being is that you put the tenon in through the mortise and then push these pegs in after cutting them off into here, and that splays open this end here, makes this end here wider on this pivot point here, and the idea being that it then can't pull out and holds the joint nice and tight together. So I'm going to drill and cut all 6 tenons, and then I'll need to cut this, basically this angle, this wedge shape, into the mortises, so the mortises come straight here and then angle outwards here. And I'll do that, and then we're ready for assembly. Do that 6 times, back when it's done. Right, well, we finished the 6 of those. We've drilled those. We've drilled those. And I've widened them. I've got my wedges, hammer, Trenels, and the square. Must be assembly time. So this is the tenon and the mortise, and the wedges that I've cut are going to fit inside these saw cuts, I hope. There. One in there. Right, we'll do the other side. Now then the idea is we tap them in. do that all the way around. Right, not sure how well you'll make out, but these holes slightly misalign each other, and the aim is that as the dowel goes in, it'll put it all tight. Here we go. So that's gate number 2 finished. So wedged mortise and tenons on the side, and then the braces are pegged mortise and tenons. Like at me with my technical terms, number 1, or rather number 1 and number 2, and even planed this top surface so it's not flat, actually rounded or chamfered, so any water on here should hopefully run off quite nicely. I am going to go over this with a bit of a sander, I think, perhaps get rid of some of the splinters and things that are in it. But yeah, I'm quite happy with this one. You're not looking at the joints in the other one, but you can look at the joints in this one. Quite tidy. So this is the hinge side. So that's the hinge side, and that's the open side. So as you look at it now, this is the left-hand gate. The idea being that the weight of this pushing down pushes on these that push down here onto the hinges. 1, 2, 3. So yeah. So the next job is to get this and the other one hung, and then start trimming them. Though I am a little bit concerned that there might be a little bit of warpage in them. So how can I demonstrate? So flat, warpage, so or even a bit of that. But we'll have to see. I couldn't work out which of these pieces of wood were possibly bent or twisted or what. Couldn't work it out. So they are what they are, and we'll make of it what we make of it. So yeah. So the next job is get these hung.
Right, sorry we weren't able to record the actual hanging of the gates, but the procedure was to make sure that the uprights were upright and level and so on, and then we chose the height of the gate that we wanted it to be and put this end on a pad and hung this side, making sure it moved freely, and then transferred this height all the way across the other side. I then had to trim the pieces here so that the gates swung freely both ways, and as you can see we've still got the furniture to add to it, and it still needs cladding. So I'm going to end this video now. It's going to be a 3-parter as we clad this and add all the relevant gate furniture. But I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please do consider subscribing to the channel. If you've enjoyed the video, do give me the thumbs up. It's much appreciated if you do that, and really helps. And consider subscribing to the channel. Once this gate's all finished, we'll then be back to restoring the CB200 and hopefully some other videos. But do leave comments below. I read them all, and I do try to reply to the ones that need it. But for now, I'll say thanks a lot and see you next time. Cheers.